Hello and welcome back. This is Candace from Candoodle, and I'm so excited to be collaborating with Alicia from Call Me Crafty today on her Inspired Saturdays series. We've each picked a card from each other's YouTube or Instagram that's inspired us, and we're going to be casing it in today's video. So after much deliberation, I have chosen this super fun shaker card as my inspiration for today's video. So let's get started. So today I'm going to be using this HoneyBee stencil called Follow That Star, the Stamp Market Big High die, as well as my Spun Sugar Distress ink and a blending brush and some seed beads in neon colors. I'm just starting off with a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch piece of white note card that I am going to lay my stencil over to do some quick ink blending. I'm just coming in with a light hand with that Spun Sugar Distress ink just to give the front of the card some interest. On Crafty Al's version, she used an embossing folder which looked great, but I don't always love using those because I find I have issues with getting adhesive to stick. It's just not my favorite, so I thought I would make this more my style and use a stencil instead. So once I am done with my ink blending, I am going to peel back the tape and reveal, which is always my favorite part of doing stenciling. Once that is done, I'm going to get out my die and center it where I want on the paper, and I'm just going to tack that down with some washi tape. I kind of just use whatever's lying around and then run that through my die cutting machine. Once it's through, I am going to peel back the tape and reveal that. And I did have some issues getting it out of my die, so I just used my little craft tweezers to take out that die, and I can save the high and use it on a different card. You also want to make sure to use your little inlaid piece because we're going to need to glue that onto the acetate, which we're going to do in a second. So because this is going to be a shaker card, I'm getting out some acetate. I like to use clear packaging that comes on things we buy to reduce, reuse, and recycle. And I'm just taking a brush pen that has seen better days and is actually dead now. And I'm just going around and tracing where I need that so I know where to cut. I cut that off screen, and then I'm just going to make sure it fits and give it one last clean before I stick it down to the back. Now, could you have used adhesive that was easier and much more time efficient? Yes, but my tape runner was out, and I prefer to use double-sided tape rather than liquid adhesive, just because with liquid adhesive and acetate you can sometimes get the oozing out and then it leaves marks on your acetate. So I just find this is the easiest way for me to do it, but usually I would use my tape runner, but unfortunately my Amazon order had yet to come yet when I was filming this. So I just went around with double-sided tape. It didn't take super long, but it was a bit longer than usual. I peeled off the release paper, and then I'm just sticking down my acetate, and then I'm going to flip that over and make sure everything looks fine. I'm going to inlay my high piece. That way I know exactly where I have to stick that little inlaid piece, and I'm just using a piece of smaller tape on that, and I'm going to press it down to the acetate, and then everything is stuck down really nice. So instead of using foam tape, I'm going to use some fun foam, which I like to do when I'm doing full panel shakers. And so I'm just lining up the high where I think it should go, and then I'm just double checking that it's in generally the right area. And instead of running this through my die cut machine, because I find that my foam sometimes gets really out of shape when I do that, I'm just tracing around the back of the die with a pencil to give me an idea of where that's going to go so I can kind of cut around it. When I do cut this, I cut right on top or just right outside of the pencil line. That way I know I'm going to have full clearance and there's not going to be any foam showing where it shouldn't be. And this way I don't have to worry about my die cutting machine kind of sandwiching the foam and getting it out of shape, and I know it's going to fit behind well. So I'm just lining that up to make sure it's not overhanging at any parts, and then I am going to use liquid adhesive because I wanted to do this a little bit quicker. However, that does mean we might have to deal with some of the oozing issues that I alluded to before, which you'll see in a second. So I'm using my Gina adhesive, and then I am going to stick that down and just make sure that it is all nicely lined up in place. And I am going to put a heavy piece of countertop that I have in my craft room on top of it to let it dry. So I let that sit for a while, and when I came back I did notice there was some oozing showing through the front, so I just kind of used my craft pick to scrape away some of that glue and then left it to dry for a little bit longer until it was fully dry. So now I am coming in and putting my shaker bits in. Crafty Al used diamond dots, which I thought was super fun and kind of unconventional, so I wanted to do something along a similar vein, but I don't have those. But I do have a lot of beads because I also do jewelry. So I took some of my seed beads and just picked some neon colors that I thought were fun, and put those in, kind of trying to spread the colors sort of evenly. I did check and make sure with that back panel that the seed beads had enough space to move and I didn't need to add any more foam tape. And then once I am done with that, I am going to add my back panel with a mix of strong double-sided tape and liquid glue again. You could definitely just use one or the other, but I like the strength of the tape, but I also like the ability to kind of move things around if I didn't get it exactly perfectly placed with using the glue. And so this time I remembered glossy accents works best with foam, at least I found, so I did get that out to use on the back, which I guess I forgot that when I used my Gina K on the front, but it all still worked out. Glue is glue. And so I stuck down my back panel and then I am going to flip it over and do the reveal, which is always my favorite part. And there's the shaker. So now we are going to move on and put this onto a card base. And so I got a top folding card base. I've liked top folding lately. I used to always do side folding, but I'm changing my mind here. And then I got this tape runner I found in my drawer, which you can see is not the greatest. And then I just stuck that down to the front of the card base. And of course, no card is complete without some additional bling. So I did get out some of my little things from Lucy's cards and tried to match those to the colors of the beads. And then I played around with placement for a really long time, but I edited that out so you can just see me gluing on the final ones. I hope you enjoyed today's card inspired by Call Me Crafty Al, and I can't wait to head over to her channel and see what she has made inspired by me. You can find her video linked down in the description below. Thank you so much for spending some time here with me today, and again, thank you to Alicia for collaborating with me on today's Inspired Saturdays. If you're new around here, I would love it if you subscribed. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, and of course, you can always find me over on Instagram at Candoodle Creations. Until then, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!